and you want to present something, just let me know in the chat and I will take you back. It's just for the recording purposes, it's better to have less people being recorded. Alex, you can go ahead.
Awesome. Cool. So welcome to the weekly What We Shipped, and we'll start with the engineering side. Kush or James? James, you want to give an intro and then we'll head over to Kush, or whoever would like to go first?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yes, initially we are going to have Stan present, but he's saying he's having internet issues, so we'll pull off of him for now. And then I think that Suraj and Kush have demos, but Kush has been leading this, so I'll let Kush take it from here.
Yep. So thanks, James. So hey guys, for this week we basically had a target to facilitate some kind of like multi team coordination, and also like to get the Minecraft demo to a more realistic environment where, let's say, there are multiple agents on the registry and all of them have their own tokens, and how do they interact with each other if they all just do not share the same currency. And for that, basically we have created like a hosted server, shared server, on which like anyone can join from anywhere. So and then on that we've added some new agents. We've got exo deployer, through which anyone can like launch their own agents in a no code fashion and like get it to join the Minecraft server. So I mean, yeah, I mean, as you guys understand, Minecraft is more like a client interface over here, but the main functionality is exactly that. Okay, now you can launch no code agents and like get them directly on the registry using exo launcher. So with that, I'll just share my screen. Let me know if it's visible.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah, we can see it.
Cool. So as we can see right now in this Minecraft server, we only got this new member in the Minecraft family, which is like Charlie bot, which manages the treasury and the tokens. So now Charlie has some tokens that we had minted, and Charlie also has some reserve ETH that we can use to like send here and there. So if I just write a command of Charlie treasury send ETH, so now basically Charlie treasury will be taking this command, fetching and basically initiating an e transfer to a particular account address, and this is all managed through Collabland account kits. So it's all like abstracted from the user, so I don't need to sign anything. So as you can see, a user operation has been submitted for the e transfer request. So now basically what's happening in the backend is Charlie Treasury is taking some ETH from their account and transferring it to this particular address, which is present over here in the chat. So now this is all happening through the Collabland starter kit. So all the signing and everything. So yeah, that's there. So now moving on to the next part of the demo, I would like to pass it on to Suraj, who will be showcasing us on how we can like add more agents onto this particular server using the Exo launcher. So let me just stop sharing my screen for a bit, and yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm Suraj Sharma from Exo. So the part we're working on is the no-code, low-code launchers. So this way, what we want to do is that agent launching, agent development, and everything should not be just limited to developers. And we want to allow all the other members of the mother community to be able to quickly launch these Minecraft agents and monetize them. Because two things we've done is we have a merchant agent and a builder agent. So in merchant agent, you can start your own shop so that builder agents can come and do transactions with you. So let me give you a quick demo of how easy it is that we're going to make launching. So essentially what we can do is as simple as just you click on this launch new agent. So we want to give this a new name. So we want to give this Bob bot. Now we can just choose, since we only have 2 roles, we can choose 2 roles. We've already added pre-configuration on where our servers are. So we're not putting it as a choice, but later on you can add it to any of these servers that you would like. So post that, you just need to add your Nevermind API key so that you can perform these transactions. In this case, I'm just going to add my key here. Then you can use your OpenAI key or a Gaia node. and you can just add these simple, like I'm going to use my Gaia domain that I've previously created. So this way users can just add their node URL and then click on launch. Now what's going to happen is the container is getting started in the background. So if Kush, you could go over to the Minecraft agent, soon you'll see this Bob bot spinning up. And while Kush is spinning up, I'm spinning up more agents so that, he can showcase the agent part. So over to you, Kush, again.
Yep.
So, and I'll slowly keep on spinning up other agents as well. So they keep on adding to the server in the background. I think one of them should start soon.
Yeah, so while we wait on Exo, okay, so we've got some more agents coming, and I think Ali has joined. Bob took some more time to join than Ali. So now we can see that, okay, Ali is a new agent which has been spun up by using Exo. Now that's Alice bot is also here, which has also been spun up using Exo. And yeah, so as you can see in the chat, these agents have distributed roles among themselves right now. That's like predefined. So like Bob and Bill, another agent will be like joining soon, are like builder agents, and Ali and Alice are merchant agents who can like sell stuff. So now what we can also do is, since all of these are different agents and do not share same currency, we've also like built in a command over here which would allow anyone to like request tokens from the treasury agent. So now if I go to Alice bot and ask it to receive, what it does is it basically fetches a smart account information from the collab land starter kit, and it fetches smart accounts, all the accounts available, so like your Solana wallets and these managed accounts on EVM as well, fetches their information and then requests Charlie to send some kind of tokens to them so they can then facilitate this transaction going forward. Now, this is basically important because we want to be able to make sure that these agentic communications are smooth going forward, and token swapping is not a barrier for them. So this is like a sample implementation of how it's going to work out. So as you can see, Charlie, it's initiating a transaction. It'll produce some call data and then sign transaction. Yeah, it sometimes goes through, sometimes it doesn't go through. I think there's some issue, on the account abstraction side of this, but yeah, that's basically it. And once, let's say, this happens on the same time, we can basically also be, ask them to build platforms. So if I ask Bobbot to build a platform, it'll also now be able to find the nearest merchant agent. So it found Ali from the registry and asked it to like build a platform for it. And now Ali is going and like finding some logs and starting to chop them. So now Ali was just spun up from Exo launcher, but it's already there. And as we can see, our transaction for the test tokens has also gone through to Alice, so who requested for tokens from Bob. So like a lot of stuff is going on here. So it's like that's where that's the beauty of multi-agentic systems. These all can like work independent of each other, in sync with each other, and can communicate with each other to like achieve much larger goals and like things that we would probably take more time to do as humans. So yeah, I guess that's it for this demo, I guess, from our side. So yeah, I mean, we can also like include Billboard if you want and like just ask it to build a platform. But yeah, it's the same implementation over there. So that's it over here. So yeah, and yeah, huge thanks to Suraj from Exo, the Intuition and Nevermind team, and also Geeta, who has been like super supportive all along the way, and of course, everyone on the team. So yeah, thanks guys.
James, do you want to give a little bit of background and kind of on specifically what changed from last week to this week, like what the improvement was, and then secondly, why this improvement is important towards the overall vision of what Mother's going to be?
Yeah, this week was actually polishing up and refining what we did last week, and I think this is important. I wanted to showcase. Stan said he can't make it to this meeting, so we can't have that demo today, but we'll have it next week. How it now begins to line up with the orchestration piece, and I think it's just getting us tighter coming back from ETH Denver and from Breckenridge. But we'll start to see everything kind of come together next week. So yeah, I think we're seeing different issues here. As Kush was saying, there's some account abstraction issues. What we're seeing is there are some lit issues that we're facing, and so we're going to go back to lit about this. So there is just this polishing and just bringing everything together. So it's just a refinement of what we're doing. Oh, Stan is here. I don't know if Stan, if you have anything to present this week.
I don't have anything to present because I'm just like I mentioned on Telegram. I was doing the research and I was also testing the vector databases this week. So I test Couchbase, but I will stick with Redis for the demo for the next week. Yeah. So yeah, I also was exploring the communication between tools and agents, and I was checking the model context protocol. But probably there is now some kind of technology right now to interact directly between agents without any model interaction. So all of the protocols, let's say, interact only with model on the top. There is no such a bridge between, for example, tooling without any processing of data. So I'm trying to work on something for the next week to demonstrate how we can maybe build something, so something for that that typical use case.
Okay, so
And oh, sorry, James, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say what we're hoping to do, and we'll coordinate with Stan. There was just some logistical issues this week as well that Stan was dealing with, and so what we plan to do this coming next week is seeing how we can merge the orchestration layer that Stan has with now more of a refined, polished demo that Kush has. I think what I'm kind of thinking about now is we should split off into multiple demos where we actually keep the Minecraft demo and we test this in a simulation environment for the multi-agent communication. But I do think, and we have to talk to in our engineering sync after this meeting, like a second demo where we actually have agents that are on different platforms, because some of the feedback that we've been getting is this, like, are we creating a game? Which we're not. And so I think we need to now try and understand how, with our limited resources, split off where we continue the sandbox simulation in Minecraft, but also have some real engagement. And what we're talking to with Coach Jay is having some beginnings of what we're doing in Discord. We're going to start with like tipping so that people can actually now accrue points in a point system as we lead to TGE, but that actually will then lead into as well people being able to interact in Discord and Telegram directly to kind of hire these agents as well. So we need this kind of working on the B2B side, I would say, with the Minecraft demo and the messaging along with what Stan is doing on orchestration, but then also need this kind of B2C beginnings where people can actually interact with these agents. So that's something that we're going to talk about right after this meeting to set the stage for next week. And then from there, we're also looking into, we have a POC with AVS and the DAO interaction, and we need to start integrating that. That probably won't happen this next week, but that's what we're targeting for the week after.
That's very helpful. And then can you talk a little bit about, and I know we touched on this last week, but can you talk a little bit about what Stan is working on with the orchestration layer? And I believe last week you kind of differentiated between orchestration and coordination and why those are important within the larger mother registry outside of the simulation.
Yeah, so what we're doing on the Minecraft level is agent-to-agent coordination and messaging, but it all has to come together where, and this is what we need to figure out, we're going to start with, as Dan was saying, there's like a mother orchestration agent that can kind of kick off the process. What we need to discuss is, from a peer-to-peer network, can any arbitrary agent also be the orchestrator? So what we're seeing with, like, the release of Manus, and now with the new OpenAI initiative, you have things that need to happen prior to agent communication. You have like a planning and an orchestration kind of logic. And how do we, and this is an open question, does each agent actually have some orchestration piece? Is that something that we tap into? Is that another agent that we have to default into the registry that we provide from like the mother perspective to help with the initial orchestration and the planning of these agents? Or is that something that we have embedded for each agent, or is that something that each agent needs to come to the table with? Because there's like a multi-step process. So these are some interesting questions that as we are building every week, that are emerging, that we need to stay ahead of. And this is something that, and this is why Stan is here. So this is why the orchestration and the initial messaging are separate, but they're going to need to merge. Hopefully we can start talking about this and have a demo of that for next Friday.
That makes sense. Kush, anything to add to that?
Nope. I mean, yeah. So the thing with these incremental Minecraft demos is it actually adds like a visual flair to what we're trying to do, because a lot of this stuff that we're like building in the backend is like uh, pretty much like black and white kind of thing. It's like pretty gray, like it's all code. So if you're like not a technical person and like do not have like a understanding of how multi-agentic system works, it will probably uh, take you a lot of time and reading to like understand them. So the goal over here is to like incrementally build on what we have every week. So for example, the platform that we had last week was actually what enabled us to like go ahead and like launch multiple agents this week, and then also enable all of the stuff happening on a new blockchain this week. So like all of the stuff that we did today was pretty much done on Base Sepolia. Previously we were on Arbitrum Sepolia. So we're also like expanding to multi-chain in this particular context and learning, taking learnings on what it actually takes to like enable these things. So throughout this process, actually uncovered a lot of things, a lot of issues as well that we will be facing going forward, that I will be discussing with our integration partners like Intuition and Nevermind, and how we can smoothen them out, which also serves as a great feedback for them. So it's like a lot of learning. It's just, yeah, and Minecraft adds a fun little element to it. uh, yeah, I mean, we also had other piece of the demo which we weren't able to like showcase today because Toby is not available today. But yeah, that's also another visual element and other client that James was talking about. So the idea over there was to like live stream what agents are viewing onto another server, so you can like actually see what an agent is seeing or what they're doing from their perspective. So yeah, but that's something I guess then we take up next week. So yeah.
Awesome. And I guess a few people had a few more questions on this. One, James, is Alessandro's asking about the AVS demo and explainer soon. He was asking if you can see it soon, but maybe in the meantime, if you can just give a sense of how you're thinking about AVS.
Yeah, AVS was initially the actively validated services, and now they're turning that into, I think the new phrase is agentic or actively verified services. And what we're using the AVS for is for verification. And so once you're in the registry and you've been voted in by the DAO, is there a condition, and how do we make sure that these agents can remain in the registry? And that is what the AVS is for, is to make sure that they're actively verified. And so what we're going to start with in terms of verification is simple on-chain verification of, say, revenue. But as we move from just Web3 into the broader Web2 ecosystem in general, because I think what we're building in terms of a registry goes beyond just Web3. They're going to be off-chain services that need to be verified, and that's what the AVS will do. So like, for example, Stripe
revenue verification if they're not using crypto, or some off-chain oracle that they're meeting some KPI on. We need some verification service for that. And that's what the AVS is for, so that these agents, if they don't meet their KPIs, whatever they are, will get slashed and potentially removed from the registry. What will happen is there will be an AVS agent that will submit a proposal to the DAO for slashing criteria. So typically what happens on chain, if it's fully programmatic, if they don't meet their KPIs, they're just out. But what we're going to do as we go fully autonomous is we need some human review, because there may be some valid reason why they didn't meet their KPI and that they should stay in the registry for whatever arbitrary reason. And so we have this DAO as a buffer to confirm. And with the DAO agent in Mother, it will learn about how we're voting on proposals. And that eventually sets the stage for the Mother DAO to be eventually fully autonomous. But it's going to take some time. And we have to learn the process. So there's going to be some human oversight from a group perspective. And so that's why the AVS agent won't automatically slash these agents and remove them from the registry. It'll turn into a DAO vote for the DAO voters to say, okay, and curate whether or not there was a legitimate reason why they didn't meet whatever their criteria was for that time period. I
Awesome.
can
That's
go
very
into
helpful.
more, but I think hopefully that was a good enough explanation.
No, that's very helpful. And I guess, else have any other questions for the engineering team, or kind of how they think about it, or what they're working towards? Awesome. So, Kush, I guess one more question for you is, I know you've been working on this in the background, but how does the kind of emergent design that's happening with the Minecraft demo tie into some of the larger and higher level roadmap that people have been thinking about, of like, when fundraise, when token, when incentivize testnet, etc.
Yeah. So to answer that, like we have like a very rough roadmap on like the things we want to achieve in like say limited amount of times. So for example, like James mentioned that the ABS piece is like scheduled for next to next week. So that's basically something that we start working on or like start implementing next to next week. So we already have that clarity on what it looks like in the short term. So for example, next week will be mostly about orchestration, how we can like get these multi agents to like these agents to like interact with each other. So we have like a roadmap for that. But in terms of like just emergent design coming up, there are a lot of, when it comes to like development and like engineering in itself, there's a lot of uh, unknowns that like we're not aware of till the time we actually get into those. So for example, as I was mentioning, like this week working on this, I kind of like found some like dependencies and like some difficulties that we will be facing in the future going forward if we don't resolve them right now. So that's like really good learning. And in terms of like the larger roadmap, I mean, I know that we're scheduled for TGE towards May. So our goal over here from our end is to like just wrap up like a very minimal POC end to end working to on which anyone can like register their agents, you know, towards the end of this month. So that's basically like a goal. And then basically April is since we're also onboarding new agent devs on the side. As we get to work with them, we basically start to understand the problems they're facing. Then another aspect becomes, how can we make it more easy for them to like onboard onto registry and maximize value for them. So these are all the things that we can assume to one perspective, but it's always better to like have some beta testers in and like work with them on that. So yeah, the goal over there will be like deliver the MVP kind of registry, make it easier for the agents to log in, and like agents and other builders to like join the registry, start becoming a part of the network and like accepting jobs, and yeah, making the system more robust. And then moving on to like version 2 of, let's say, what the actual middleware looks like, which can be like actually like really scalable in terms of more market adoption and just increasing accuracy in terms of getting more deterministic results. So that's all a work in progress. And in terms of the pure product direction, I think that's uh, I think that's gonna depend a lot on, let's say, where the most amount of revenue is coming in, because AI, right? So AI is being implemented in every field right now. So technically, your total addressable market is the world, like the entire internet. But we can't go after that big market, right off the bat, right? Because you know that saying, right? If you go after two rabbits, you catch neither. So yeah, we want to make sure that we take it like in a step-by-step manner. And I understand where you're coming from with this. Like there has been people who are like not involved in the engineering, kind of like have been a bit anxious that hey, what's going on? How does this tie into like the larger thing? But yeah, so it's basically like a step-by-step process. Anything to add over there, James?
Yeah, can you hear me okay? I'm having problems with my volume.
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, it's really interesting and fun, I would say. We're actually doing just-in-time research as we're building the product. So we have this marathon that we're running, one sprint leg at a time, but it's happening while there's an earthquake, if you will. So there's a lot of inputs that we are getting in real time as we're building. Because we are decentralized, we can't have like a 6, 9 month, 1 year roadmap because we have to keep the pace going. And that's why we have these weekly Friday demos. But what's happening in the backdrop of AI is like every month there's some new innovation, some new technique. And so we're trying to modulate that. And that's another reason why we have these like weekly sprints and we're taking in this feedback as it comes. So it's difficult if people are coming from like traditional product development. I mean, even OpenAI says they don't have anything longer than a 3, maybe 6 month roadmap. And so this is why it requires all of us to be super engaged and see where the market is going and heading as these new techniques emerge, right? With like Manus and OpenAI, they use different models at the different steps of the process, from like planning then to task assignment. There's no architecture or anything that can really that there is no standard yet. And so as Stan was talking about the details with regards to things like MCP integration, how valid is that? We are building week to week, trying to incorporate these new ideas, and it requires all of us to be engaged, but we're also decentralized. So there's a coordination effort here. So as best as we can, we're trying to take this in. I think we have 2 to 3 weeks in terms of insight into where we're going. We need the AVS and DAO integration. We need the integration with what Stan is working on into what we've been calling the middleware that Kush is working on. And what we're trying to figure out is kind of this just-in-time design so that we're not just building out for something 2-3 months that may be obsolete or there may be better techniques later on. And so this is why engineering is a bit more on the trickier side, but this is where the emergent design comes in. And I think this is actually, it's harder to navigate, but I think a lot more fun because it requires all of us to be super engaged, at least on the engineering side. So trying not to hand wave too much here. I know that people on the outside of engineering are trying to look in to see kind of where we're going and you want answers, but it's this tension, which I think is healthy for us to make sure that we are market relevant. We're not getting too ahead of ourselves. But at the same time, we're trying to figure out kind of week to week in almost like a improv situation, how we can incorporate the latest findings and techniques.
And James, I think it makes a lot of sense as I've been out here in ETHSF explaining to people kind of what Mother is, and I've taken them to explain to Mother as a coordination layer for agents and humans towards generating revenue. And I think one of the things we've seen from a lot of coordination layers is they're like, oh, everyone's building a coordination layer, everyone's building a marketplace. But most are only thinking about coordinating agents and not thinking about coordinating humans and agents towards generating revenue. And what you're kind of doing in the Minecraft is you're holding the humans constant and saying, let us simulate with only the agents and see how they interact. Do with like the agentic registry is, can we get humans to see that they're making more progress with Mother than without Mother? And so we're holding like the agents constant. And eventually we'll bring the two together and say, how do we get these humans, these agents to coordinate together? But first, we're starting with the individual kind of worlds, if you will. So it makes sense that we're getting towards that, and it just takes time to pull that all together.
Yeah, I mean, the main thesis here, and I think that's a great way to think about it from an abstract level. What we're doing is reinforcement learning at a group level. So this is where the DAO experience comes in, and the coordination of humans in a group, not just one human with one agent or one company like OpenAI or Gemini or Anthropic being in control of what or how these agents are steered, but we're doing it at kind of a group level. And we're starting with metrics that we can actually verify. So if you can't measure it, then you can't get better. And what we're trying to do is create an environment, because we think that this environment is where AGI will really be birthed from, is trying to do this in a decentralized manner. So the curation part is super important. And this agent and human kind of synthesis is, I think, how we can progress. And that part of the decentralized AI is not something that I don't know of any other group besides us that are working on that. That's ultimately or fundamentally our unique value prop.
Well, that's awesome. So thank you so much, Kush, Stan, James. We'll look forward to kind of what you guys are pushing for next week, both with the Minecraft agent-led kind of coordination, as well as the orchestration layer that Stan is working on, and how those end up tying together towards an incentivize adding the registry part of that, the agentic business registry part of that, with that includes the humans. So now we will push over to some of the other people who are working on it, and I'll call out some people. And
there were some questions during the engineering demo that had, one was deep funding, and then there was another one I saw pop up in terms of, can humans actually play Minecraft? So on the deep funding part, definitely, just going back from what I remember, if you can, whoever posted that question, if you can post it again, I'm trying to go back from memory. The deep funding aspect is that human part of it that we should reach out to and figure out, how do we integrate with other projects? Is there where deep funding model can be useful to apply human judgment at scale? I think so. I think that this is part of the human coordination aspect with the DAO. If people from deep funding want to be part of the DAO or help contribute to Mother, I think will be great. And I think that's where the synthesis, and we'll figure out on the coordination between humans and agents, will come in. And then to answer the second question, can humans actually play the Minecraft as well? Absolutely. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kush, if we just gave the server kind of URL, humans can actually play along with these agents.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you were seeing my screen, and I don't think I'm an agent, so
Awesome.
great.
There's some doubts.
and then Alessandro, I appreciate your idea that you dropped in there, put in the middleware chat. Now we have a few more people to present. If you don't have anything to present, you can you don't have to answer. First, Disruption Joe, I know you've been sick, but do you have anything you want to showcase about the workshop we did this week?
No, I haven't pulled that together. That's pulling together for Monday. I think we're still where we're at, and I'm working on the white paper for Coach Jay. So,
do you want to give people a 60-second overview of what we did with the workshop, because it's pretty valuable?
Sure. So, what we did in the workshop, and actually, I'm not sure if I felt bad about coming out of it, because I was kind of sick and clouded as I was like facilitating it. And usually they feel a little bit less like pulling teeth. But also, I know from experience that when it feels like pulling teeth, a lot of times that's because we aren't aligned yet. And that's why we need to actually look at the workshop. So what we started looking at was like from an agent buyer, an agent builder, and then from like a developer who doesn't really know that their agent will create revenue yet. They're just thinking about creating agents. What are the loops that actually bring them in, like from awareness, and what do we consider conversion from somebody being aware that they could build an agent with us to actually logging in and putting an agent on the network. And just because they log in and put an agent on the network doesn't mean they've seen the value of putting that agent on the network. So the next stage, I usually call it the aha moment, is when do we define that they've seen the value? And then the last stage is when do we find them to be retained? So this means that they have made it a habit, and we consistently count on like X percent, 60% of people who have seen value to return and consistently create value. And one of the hard things to understand about this is like when you think about the agent builders, the agent builder themselves is the one who becomes aware of mother, right? And then they go and they log an agent on. And so that's a human doing that. But then seeing the value is the human and the agent in a way. And that agent then gets curated or validated by the AVS that they did something productive that the network cares about. And then the engagement from that side, it's like once you log them in, they're just in. So it became very kind of confusing for us to like actually push down here. So what we want to do is turn this into some metrics that we can all agree and say, hey, these are like some core metrics here. If you think of that as a 4x4 matrix, that means there's 14 or 16 different levers that we have to choose with our time and resources, which of those levers we're pushing at any given time. And one of the hugest mistakes startups make is that they'll get like an idea and say, hey, this would be a great thing to do. And they haven't compared it, the opportunity cost of pushing on lever 1 versus pushing on lever 8 versus pushing on lever 12. And so they spend a lot of time being less efficient than they actually could be. The next thing was really pulling out and thinking about the impacts that we would want to see over the next like 6 to 12 months and to give us some North Star and guiding. And again, yeah, this isn't in like very good presentation format for post, pulling it out and making it easy to see. But you can see that there was some work put into it where what we pulled out by having people cross-functionally put in what they think are those impacts is some themes. So when we voted on the ones that were most important for each group, we came out with themes around quality, gross marketplace value, the rate of growth, the amount we dog food came through in a couple different ways. Are we decentralized in reality? And then quality, you might also think of it as like becoming the blue chip of agentic commerce. Right? Like that would be some type of measure there. And then like the sustainability or decentralization over time, I think those are very similar as well. So those are some of the things we'll have to come to the source meeting with a actual proposal to say, hey, these are kind of our top 3, like North Star metrics that we're pushing to. So we have an answer to that. So if like Kush jumps on a call with a potential investor and then I'm talking to them a little bit later, and they ask that question around like, okay, well, what's your North Star? Where are you guys focusing? We can have similar answers. So that's the overview there. I think it's a little premature for like I'd rather have a presentation form for next. But
yeah, the important part here, the reason why I brought this up is so that everyone understands like there's a lot of things happening in Mother, but we are trying to define some of the direction of where things head and what those metrics look like so that we can more continuously have an emergent design, but that is also considering the parts of the system of like what the direction where things head. Cool. So then next up, I'll call out a couple people.
Awesome.
Zena, Punkar, Coach Jay. Do you guys have anything you want to focus on? Or anything you want to showcase? Zena, Punkar, Coach Jay. No? No?
I have nothing to show probably today. I'm checking if Coach J is actually present, but I don't see him in the audience. No, he was here. Oh, he's here, so I can bring him in.
And Zena, if you wanted to showcase any of the deck that you guys have been working on, and so people understand the deck of what Mother's doing, that'd be great. Otherwise, do any of our integration partners, Suraj from XO, Alessandro, anybody else? Alessandro. So I'm just looking through the list here. Tosh and Andrew, Gita, anybody else? Lino, etc. I'm gonna take it as a no from everyone. If you do drop it in, drop it in the chat. Raise your hand. I'll tell you guys briefly what we're working on the agentic business side of it, and then we'll wrap up with 5 minutes of just just like a normal questions and discussion. And we'll probably give people time back at the end. So one of the big questions that we've been talking about, as James talked about with like Minecraft is kind of a simulation. We're getting agentic businesses into the registry because feedback we've gotten from investors and from other people is how do you fix the cold start problem? How do you show that you're generating revenue? And how do and if our North Star is marketplace GDP, how do we ensure we're getting that in? It's a typical two-sided marketplace of you go with demand star problem on going after revenue generating agents right now, and bringing them in. So I have a few numbers here, like loose numbers of kind of where that kind of is in the funnel. We have about 200 agents that we have interacted with, or like 200 agents that we've scraped, have information, we can go and talk to them. It's probably a higher number when we start looking at Web 2 and stuff like that, but it's around 200 agents. We have about 75 agentic businesses. To be clear, agentic business is not just agents, because some agentic businesses have multiple agents. We have about 75 agentic businesses that we've had some sort of communication with. And about 40 of these agentic businesses have seen, they presented in ETH Denver, they were on the artificial intelligence, they have a past history of one of our team members. And to be clear, majority of those are not generating much revenue yet, but a good amount of those actually have some, like are close to generating revenue or have some good value prop that we can help them scale. Of those 40 agents that have seen some value in Mother, there's about 7 that we have actively like started the conversation with of, hey, would you like to join the registry? And I'm calling it 1.75 have already agreed to go into the registry, integrate, meaning they're getting pushed through to Kush. One is Solange, who's great because they're one of the best known ones in the industry, and they are generating revenue. The second one is Kawali, which I call them Koala, and they gave me permission to call them Koala. But basically, they were on our ETH Denver stage. They won according to Anna from Vana, and they do smart contract development and prototyping smart contract development. And it looks good that like we've invited them to come in and they're gonna kind of determine that. But as you guys can see, the important part here, our North Star is towards marketplace GDP. We need to get demand eventually, but we're starting with agentic businesses. And we're starting with agentic businesses that are either A, generating revenue already, or B, have utility towards, like we believe that we can likely get them revenue generation through the distribution that we have. And so we actually have, sorry, that's actually 4. We have Solange, XO, and Smoodle. Any questions on kind of how we're approaching the agentic businesses? Cool. You guys we should start to see that funnel tick up a lot in terms of who's coming into the registry, and we'll have a more specific onboarding flow for all of them. But right now it's a lot of manual hand-holding. Any questions? Kush, anything to add on that and kind of how we're thinking about with the agentic businesses?
Nothing to add as such. It's mainly just like go hard on BD per se. So like the goal right now is to like get as many agents as possible on the registry, so we can like test our systems at scale as well, and also like interact with these partners to like build more of the roadmap as we're going forward, and also like populate the registry so we can like then cater to like more use cases, more business use cases actually, and get the demand side also enabled using us. So that's pretty much the direction when it comes to this. In terms of the initial onboarding of agents itself, I think I think Coach Jay mentioned that we have about 4 agents right now who are like.
It's actually 5.
5. So
We're
yeah,
we're improving our CRM as we're doing this, so we can get the metrics
yeah,
more consistently.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, the thing about this is like every agent gets added to the registry actually increase the value of the registry, and the more valuable the registry in itself is, the value accrues to the network. So that basically yeah, so it basically comes down to like onboarding more agents at the end of the day. So yeah.
Um, cool. Any other questions on any other questions about the agentic businesses or anything else to add? Awesome. Well, then the last thing here is I'll just ask anybody else in the audience any major takeaways from the last couple of weeks from what you guys have been seeing from the what we shipped. Either any major takeaways or any big questions that you have. I'll call out a couple of people who have been around a lot. Lino, Alessandro, Smoodle. Any big questions you guys want to ask or any major takeaways? Mark, I would love to hear from you too, or Gita, Andrew. You guys are also quiet today.
So
Go ahead.
I have a go on, Xavier.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Thank you, Xavier. Punkar, were you going to say something?
Yeah, so it might not be like purpose of this call, but I had an interesting conversation with some new layer one chain yesterday, and I know we were exploring this kind of how we can work with different chains. And my question here is like, can we can we actually become like the registry of choice for basically any chain that wants to implement like their agentic strategy and make sure that when agents are deployed on their chains they are discoverable, they can like work together, so like it's actually a good environment for agentic build up, layer one or layer two, including some like bridging, means like if it's deployed there they can cooperate across the ecosystem. Do we think that's like one of the value proposition of Mother, or am I totally off?
So I can take that one. I think that's something that we can totally do. That is actually like a very good way to like onboard and like get very strongly incorporated into an ecosystem as well, and as well as get aligned with a particular ecosystem. So it's good to have all these conversations. At the end of the day, it actually comes down to what are they requiring from our end, because if let's say the value proposition from their side is like not strong enough and they ask us to be exclusive with them, we probably don't want that. So that's basically, I mean, that's basically something to like keep in consideration while we like talk with them. But that's something that we can definitely enable over time, because Ember already does like cross chain swapping, and like we have them on the registry. So it's just a matter of like understanding the requirements and enabling those use cases. Anyone, anything else to add here?
Yeah, I'll point out that one of the biggest things I'm realizing as across Denver and ETHSF is that, as James has pointed out several times, is AI is completely changing businesses and business models, and where people typically had their barriers are no longer there. So I think Kush, your feedback is spot on. But the other thing I'll say is that we probably want to delay choosing a chain or making some of these definitions for a little bit until some of the dust starts to settle. Because Ethereum gives us some leverage to figure out who's going to come out and start to win on AI and things like that. And I have a sense that it'll be different than what it currently is. And I think this is something that like Lino and the Far Star team are thinking about with like a bunch of the VCs they're talking with and kind of getting some better theories and theses around this. But yeah, picking an ecosystem too early can sometimes hurt you. Sorry, Lino, were you going to say something? Can't hear you, Lino.
How about now? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Cool. Yeah, there seems to have been some kind of a problem. Alex, thanks for. That I'm quite excited about all the work you guys have been doing when we shared some time in Breckenridge, and I couldn't really allocate time to this week, but I do want to do that next week, and I already ended up speaking with a few friends trying to explain Mother. So I was wondering, by way of shortcut, what would be the best thing, if anything, already that I can show to people that are not necessarily exposed to the whole narrative around it, where they can kind of click through or start getting a sense of what's being built. I think that probably has two personas, like there's an agent builder that might want to consider registering and deploying on the registry, which is, I hear, something you guys have been doing quite a bit of. And on the other side is just somebody who might want to discover an agent they can use for some use case, even if it's kind of just a demo or a game. What are the best resources for me to play with next week?
I'll drop this in this chat for anybody who has it, and we could also maybe we can work on making this a little bit more of a home for people to come to with like a shortener. But I'll drop this in the chat right now, and also send it to you directly. You know.
Thanks. Yeah, that's not great.
Probably our deck and things like that. But any other questions on that, Lino, or any other thoughts?
To be honest, I couldn't fully hear what you said. My headphones took over the I don't know, I've been having issues with this app, but I understood that you sent me some links that I can check later. And I've seen the investor materials, I've seen kind of the memos and all that. I haven't really played with the product yet, though. So there's no need to have the whole group on the call for that. I can ask you directly.
Awesome. And Kush, is there anything else that you'd recommend for people who are starting to come into our ecosystem and want to learn more about Mother, or just the deck, or are there any specific demos you'd show?
In terms of demo or deck, I think it's just, if it's like an agent builder, it's like good to like have them use the Exo deployer to like just have them like launch an agent which is like automatically connect to the registry, and yeah, and it's like really important for us to like work really closely with these people so that we can like retain them and also like actually start to like grow this and build this community of agentic builders. uh so in terms of like demo, yeah, I mean they can get on Minecraft if they want, but I'll need to think on that.
And by the way, it's totally normal that at this stage of development, maybe there isn't anything yet. I just want to make sure I'm not missing something that I can be poking and playing with.
No, this is a great point, Lino. I think you bring up some really great feedback. And we haven't focused on this yet because we've been heads down building, and could use some help more from the community to help provide a kind of strategy, and willing to work with others here and how engineering could do that. As we were talking before, things are innovating at a rapid pace, and what we're doing is just we're trying to strategically go to where the wave is going to break. And because if the wave starts to break, for others that are just trying to capture or be part of the conversation and meet the market where it's at, it's going to take them longer to do so. So what we need is to be able to position ourselves correctly. So from an investor perspective and for these agent devs, as we're building out the middleware and the orchestration layer, we need to get all this feedback and then strategically figure out what's the easiest way to do it. And we have this constraint of like these weekly deliverables. And so that forces us, and that's the forcing function to make sure that we move forward. So we need to spend time now that we have like the middleware and the messaging between the agents and the payment and all of the initial foundation being built. Now we have to figure out the best way to expose that. And how to prioritize that exposure here. So these are great questions for us. And this is what it means to build in public. And we want to take in that feedback. And we don't want to go off and just build for 3 months and come back and say, this is where we think the market's going. We want to every week adapt and understand, because you don't really get a sense of what is useful, what is real, if you're not actively developing. So these weekly calls are that forcing function, and this is the exact feedback that we need to help us be able to figure out, okay, what direction do we go in? Do we then focus in on these agent devs? Do we need to focus in on this consumer to business perspective where people can kick the tires for these agents? Then there's this like two-sided marketplace where people are not going to go somewhere unless there are agents that exist. But agents don't want to be part of something if there are no customers, if they're not able to benefit from it. And this is the art of the bootstrap here as we are building the infrastructure as well. And so these are great questions. I'd love to see us make the Minecraft playground a super fun for dev side experiment that drives our innovation and understanding. Yeah, that's also maybe a way to kind of get this going. The only issue I have with that is that it may, from the outside, people think we're building a game, which we're not. So we have to be careful with the messaging as well. So it's kind of, we have to really think about these trade-offs.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And Tosh, I think that's a great idea. I think we should think about more. About how to create these trailers and make them approachable for new people and sending them to onboarding people. So, Lino, as you come across new people that you're trying to explain to Mother, and I appreciate you telling people about Mother, spreading the good word, if you will, and proselytizing. As you do that, keep sending me requests or keep sending them in our group chat, and we'll figure out how to get you those demos and those docs. So we're kind of doing just-in-time sales and pulling that through from the engineering side all the way through to how people can understand it. All right, guys, that's it. We're a few minutes over. I appreciate everyone coming through. We'll send out the recording of this, and we'll have another call next week, same time, same place. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, seems